I want to welcome you back to another episode of Financially Irresponsible. I am your host, Rakim Sabri, author, speaker, and consultant. And I want to start by thanking you for returning. I have been getting an unbelievable amount of positive feedback on the episodes that have aired thus far. I am so excited to be sharing this work with you. And the theme of this season has been centered around the intersection of money and mental health. And when we think about that relationship, there's still some taboos wrapped up in each individual topic. Certainly, when we talk about those topics at the same time, there are still some puzzled looks or head scratching, if you will, that goes with these concepts of financial therapy, of financial trauma, and really what is the difference between holistic financial wellness and financial literacy. Some of the feedback that I've gotten around this content is really interesting because as much as money is about the math, right? The 1 + 1 = 2 of how do you budget, how do you save, how do you build credit, there is so much space in this gray area of our behaviors and our beliefs and what is our mental disposition in that moment where we're making a decision to make a purchase, to swipe our card, to or rather to withhold from doing those things. What is the reason behind those choices, or what are the reason that drives those choices? And that's where this area of mental health plays such a huge role. One of the pieces of feedback that I got on the previous episodes that aired was that the math doesn't care about culture, it doesn't care about race, it doesn't care about your education. It is a simple equation of if you do this, then that will occur. And what was interesting about that piece of feedback is that if it was that simple, why aren't more people doing it? Why do we have these conversations or these initiatives around the importance of financial education pointed to individuals or communities that are currently experiencing poverty or that are experiencing a lack of access to resources that would have a positive impact on their overall lived experience and well-being? And the answer, I believe, is that there's more to it than just the math. There's more to it than just the education. I would go as far as to suggest that the people who are experiencing poverty or a limited income are more financially capable than some of the individuals who have high incomes because they have to find a way to stretch their dollar in between the time that they receive them. They have to find a way to survive. They have to find a way to make this work. When I think about my own experiences growing up and the experiences of so many people that I've interacted with, clients, friends, other family members, think about some of the phrases that we've heard growing up around not having it or one day having it, and the associations that those without make of those with around money, and that money is the root of all evil, right? How many times have we heard that statement? And even though the statement is not accurate, there is this belief that is ingrained in individuals who don't have money, that people who have wealth, who have accumulated wealth, and whatever that looks like, because it certainly is subjective, had to do something wrong, had to do something immoral, had to do something unethical in order to get to that level of status. And so when we start to explore or unravel the fact that money and the way that we interact with money, our behaviors around money, our beliefs about money, have a direct impact on what we actually do with money, we can understand that money and mental health as isolated topics certainly exist, at the same time in the same place. One of the differences between financial education, pure financial education, and holistic financial wellness is the acknowledgement of those principles of belief, of relationship that we have with money. And often when I ask my clients, well, what is your relationship with money? Some of the first thoughts, some of the first answers that come to mind, and maybe some of the answers that are coming to your mind as I ask this question, what is your relationship with money? Speak to what are your behaviors with money? Some of the first answers rather are, well, I'm a good saver, or I invest, or I have some debt that I would like to pay off, or I'm a shopaholic. I indulge in retail therapy all the time. And all of these things can be true, but they're not necessarily speaking to what your relationship with money is. They're speaking to what are the symptoms of your lack of a relationship or your poor relationship with money looks like. And what I find to be very interesting in a lot of these conversations is that most of those statements, those declarations are made with either a sense of pride or a sense of shame, in that the individual is like, well, yeah, I know that I should be doing something different, right? I'm educated enough to know that I should be doing something different, but I just can't kick the habit. I can't stop spending money. I can't stop using money as a pacifier, or I am obsessive or I am compulsive about making sure that I'm putting money away because I had an experience that had a negative impact on me and my family, and I want to make sure that that never occurs again. And so when we start to see the ripple effects or the echoes of the choices that we've made, whether it was informed decisions or decisions made through circumstance, right, out of survival, on what we do today, there's a strong link, a direct link between how we feel about money, what our relationship with money looks like, and ultimately what we end up doing with money. And so your relationship with money might be defined as how money makes you feel, right? When you think about the word budget, when you think about the word debt, when you think about credit or bankruptcy or bank accounts, what are the immediate feelings that come to mind? Is it fear? Is it anxiety? Is it avoidance? I'll get to that when I can. Or is it excitement? Is it confidence? Is it pride? And those interactions, those reactions to these terms are ultimately some of the indicators that you can use to determine what your relationship with money looks like. Do you have a healthy relationship with spending? Do you have a healthy relationship with earning? Do you have a healthy relationship with saving or investing? Do you have a healthy relationship with debt? What is your thought on debt as its own thing, right? There are a lot of people out there who believe that debt in and of itself is such a terrible thing. It's a bad thing. And some of those people carry mortgages, or some of those people have a car note. And so debt can't necessarily be a bad thing, right? Because we have to have a little bit of debt. And so the financial education speaks to, sure, how can you acquire that debt? How can you manage that debt effectively? How can you save better, save to a greater degree? How can you get that higher interest rate? How can you avoid paying a higher interest rate, et cetera, et cetera? And the behavior or the relationship with money says, this makes me feel this way. This is how I'm going to handle it. And so the difference between financial education and holistic financial wellness is acknowledging those things that make you feel whatever way it makes you feel, right? It's acknowledging those things that encourage you to get up and go make more money, right? Get up and go to work, or that make you discouraged from going out and spending that money. Or making informed decisions, right? It could be a positive thing, making those informed decisions that says, I'm not going to splurge on that thing today. I'm going to cook and eat at home. Or I'm going to focus on spending my money on things that are going to give me a real return, not only on my investment and whatever that looks like, right? But on my experiences, but on my health, my physical health, but on my time, the time that I get to spend with my family, the time that I get to spend alone, the time that I get to enrich my experiences through education or whatever it is that gives you passion or makes you excited to get out of bed. And so as I'm sorting through or shifting through the commentary or the feedback on these previous episodes, I'm thinking about how I can deliver better content that acknowledges the concerns of individuals and demystifies or deconstructs this aversion to talking about the taboo intersection of money and mental health. Financial wellness, holistic financial wellness, acknowledges our total being, acknowledges the fact that we are individuals who have different backgrounds, different cultures, different races, different socioeconomic origins, different socioeconomic statuses in this moment. It acknowledges the systemic inequalities and barriers to what success looks like, but it doesn't say stop right there. It says, I understand that these things exist, and this is what I'm going to do to progress. This is what I'm going to do to construct a version of myself in the future that allows for me to live my life without fear, without guilt, without shame financially. And so that is what the mission here is. The mission is to help people live quite literally their best lives financially, even if that doesn't look like becoming a millionaire, even if that doesn't look like making a drastic change in what your income is, achieving that 6-figure income or having the 850 credit score. It is helping people to be comfortable with the circumstances that they're in now, creating a version or a vision for what their future can look like tomorrow, and ultimately starting to take the steps towards becoming that person. So creating a balanced financial plan can be a game changer. By setting realistic goals, budgeting effectively, and prioritizing our spending, we can achieve both financial stability and emotional well-being. And with the added variables of understanding our relationship with money and the impact that that has on behavior, we can have a better sense of steering as we move closer towards what that plan looks like. Because the reality is that life often gets in the way, right? Something happens, the car breaks down, you need to cut down a tree, you need to replace your roof. Something happens that acts as a derailer, and we need to figure out, how do we veer back towards the path, towards the plan that we've established for ourselves. So some practical tips to help you take control of your finances and to improve your relationship with money include setting up that plan, right? And you can do that on your own. You can do that with a qualified financial professional. And there are a number of us, right? There are financial consultants, there are financial advisors, there are financial planners, there are financial therapists, there are financial counselors, really going back to the advice of determining who is the best fit professional for what it is that you want to accomplish or where it is that you are right now, and working with that individual to create a plan and start to move forward in accomplishing the goals that you have. Acknowledging your feelings, your beliefs, the limiting beliefs that you might have around money would be the next step. And that is all related to the emotions, that is related to the thoughts, that is related to the experiences that maybe you had as a kid that has solidified in how you show up and interact in your adult life financially. maybe some of the stories that you tell or the words that you use to describe your circumstances ultimately have an impact on your relationship with money, your beliefs about money, and your behaviors around money. So if you say, I don't believe that individuals who have great wealth are good people, that money is the root of all evil, and as a result, I need to give it away, I need to spend it away, or I need to just refuse opportunities to make more. And certainly you're not saying these things out loud, but if you dig deep enough and you start to think about whether or not those statements resonate with you, whether or not those statements are true, and recognize, okay, the idea of commanding great wealth makes me feel uncomfortable. That could be a limiting belief. That is a limiting belief that ultimately is going to show up in you refusing to acknowledge or avoiding the opportunities for you to actually accomplish that on your path. If you say, that's not for me, it's not supposed to be, I'm not supposed to be wealthy. Or the only way that I'm supposed to be wealthy is if I get lucky and I win the lotto. Or I'm not skilled, or I'm not educated, or whatever other host of excuses or explanations why you're undeserving of wealth. Well, you're going to command that into your existence. You're going to command that into your experience. And by telling yourself that, and by telling the people around you that, you are affirming this belief or this reality that you are undeserving of money. And so I want to echo a statement that I made in the previous episodes around making sure that you understand your values and that you understand your goals, and that those two things, those two variables are aligned. If your values state that you are worthy of ... whatever that thing is, and your goal is, I want to accomplish this, well, those two things are going to align. And that can work in your benefit as a positive, or that can work to your detriment as a negative. Because if your value is, I am not worthy, and your goal is, well, I just want to get to survive, I just want to be able to survive, then those two things are going to align. And the reality is going to be that what you're telling yourself is the truth, that you're not worthy and that you're just going to survive. And so when we think about how our thoughts, how our words ultimately impact our outcomes financially, we have to acknowledge the role of our thoughts, our feelings, our beliefs on our behaviors with money. And that is really the intersection of money and mental health. So as we begin to come to a close, I want to focus on leaving you with one actionable thing that you can do right now, today, before you come back to our next episode. And that is money affirmations. I know it sounds crazy. I know it sounds kind of out there, right? This woo-woo science of affirmations. But if you can come up with a list of 5 to 10 I am, or I feel, or I believe statements around money and around your existence, your experience, right? I am worthy. I am deserving of money. I am wealthy. I am safe. I am in a position where I can achieve a higher income. I am deserving of a higher income. Come up with some 5 to 10 money affirmations and say those affirmations every day when you wake up, every day before you go to bed, acting as if you are in the reality that you are calling to yourself. I am this, I am that, I will, or I have this. That will have a profound impact on what you believe about money. Start to rewire your brain about what you believe about money, about what you believe about your worth in conjunction with money. And then you tie that into the financial education. And there's so many programs out there, free and paid, that teach you about the basics, the fundamentals of money management. If you tie those affirmations with your financial education and see how far that takes you, that is the exercise. I hope that you engage and take advantage. For more information on me and what it is that I have going on, certainly you can visit my website at www.rakhimsabri.com. I'm also active on all social media at Rakhim Sabree, so at my name, RAHKIMSABREE. And that is the end of our show. Until next time, this has been Financially Irresponsible, and I am Rakhim Sabree.
The water's warm at Jaws Pond, and we're stocked full of treasures. Big or small, we buy it all. We buy and sell fast rides, power tools, vintage guitars, and so much more. Walk the plank in style with our fine jewelry, diamonds, and watches. Plus, we have a huge selection of the latest video games, including the new PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. Jaws Pond, conveniently located on Meriden Waterbury Turnpike in Southington and West Main Street in New Britain.
I'm your host, Kurt Barwis. Today, I have a very special guest, Dr. Andrew Lin.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Veterans Corner. My name's Chuck Wooden.
Decision for ourselves for this week, if we want to be made well.
Hi, welcome to the crack of dawn. It's Dawn Lombardi. I'm starting the painting. It's going to be the cliffs with some water. Love it.
He took me on the sets of Lost in Space, Batman.
Everybody has a story. What's yours? Until next time.